Well, hello, folks out there in YouTube land. Got a big show lined up for you. All right, yeah, Florida State just got some awful news. They cannot catch a break under any circumstances. We've also got the possibility of 6 more teams that may sue the ACC. It's getting wild in the ACC, and FSU just can't catch a break, man. They just can't. Let's just cut right to the chase on this one, and that's this right here. Quarterback depth is, oh my gosh, it's so thin. Florida State's quarterback situation is, it's not good. Tate Rodemaker has decided to enter the portal, and he's not going to be playing in the ball game. That's their backup quarterback. So they're going to wind up with their freshman, Brock Glenn. Now, folks, this is ridiculous. They've got one scholarship quarterback left, and he's a true freshman in Brock Glenn. And we've seen him against Louisville. He was 8 for 21 for 55 yards, and honestly, he was a deer in headlights. And that's against Louisville's defense. That's not against Georgia's defense. So this has put Mike Norvell in a very difficult spot. They've already got a ton of guys opting out of this game, and they're going up against Georgia, okay? This is not some regular team that you're going to play, and the point spread has already hit about 17 points now, which I don't even know if I'd take 17 points at this juncture. I really don't think I would. This is getting tough. And based on the Twitter account of Mike Norvell, I don't think he was real happy with the timing of this decision by Tate. And here is his response. It said, "The world will let fear affect it. Life can be full of disappointing moments and will always have competition. Be true and honest in the moment, then you can live with all the results, excited and grateful for each opportunity." Then, of course, he puts Nick Cage from, what movie was that? Oh, crap, that's where they were stealing all the cars. This was him getting all fired up before they went to take all the vehicles. And this is on CBS by Will Backus. This talks about how unbelievably thin Florida. Look, this is not the same team that we saw all year at Florida State. This is going to be a completely different team. The quarterback situation is terrible. They've lost they won't have their leading running back. They won't have their leading pass rusher. It's bad. Okay. And this guy says they're going to be unrecognizable. Said they'll be without their top 3 receivers, Coleman, Wilson, and Bell. All have declared for the draft. That's 53% of their receiving yards. They won't have their jumbo tight end. They, of course, won't have Trey Benson. That's almost 1,000 yards rushing right there. They won't have Jared Verse, their top edge rusher, and on down the line. Now, I'm going to tell you this much. We Vols fans, that's my team, Tennessee. We know exactly how you feel. Last year, we were doing great. We looked like we were heading to the playoff. Everything couldn't be better. And we needed to win a couple of games at the end, which was South Carolina and Vanderbilt. And our quarterback, Hendon Hooker, goes down with a knee injury. Almost an identical situation to y'all losing your quarterback, Jordan Travis. It just, I mean, you can just feel all the oxygen just comes out of the room when that happens. And it's devastating because that's your leader. That's your general out there. And when he goes down, it just messes up the team chemistry. Your offense doesn't flow the same, and you lose your edge. And all the players feel it. They lose their confidence. It's a terrible moment in sports. That's why quarterback is such an important position. It's by far the most important position. If you don't have good quarterback play, you can't win big games. You just almost can't. You know, the odds of it are impossible. So here they are with a true freshman quarterback who did not look good in that Louisville game at all. The defense won that game. And you're going up against the Georgia Bulldogs. Folks, I'm just going to go ahead and tell you, this is not the team that you want to play in these circumstances because Georgia is going to have a party. That's what they're going to do. They're ticked off too. They feel like they should have been in the playoff. But because they did have a loss, it was recent, of course, against Alabama, and I think they should have been in the playoff. We should have had a 12-team playoff, not a 4-team playoff, Phillips. But we had 3 commissioners that think they know better than everybody in the world, and they blocked it with their precious alliance.
It is with great reluctance that I have agreed to this calling.
And by the way, Greg Sankey tried to get this put into 2023, which it was supposed to be. But, you know, politicians know best, I guess.
Hello? Hello? Anybody home? Huh? Think, McFly, think.
So anyway, yeah, Georgia's handling this better. But it's easy to do that when you've got 2 natties under your belt, which they just won. So virtually everybody on that team's got a natty. So they're not nearly as upset as, say, FSU is, which, again, I can completely understand. FSU was having a miracle season. You know, here we are. We're going to be undefeated. We're going to go in the playoff. We're going to win the Natty. We've got a great quarterback. They got a great defense, which they absolutely do. Their defense is excellent, or was until everybody started opting out. So this is going to be very difficult across the board. I wish them the best, but I don't like their chances in this game. And it's really unfortunate. I think had they been at full strength with their quarterback, Jordan, this had been a heck of a ball game, especially had it been a playoff scenario, which is what it should have been. It could have been fantastic. I think FSU would have had a 50-50 shot at it. I think they're as good as Georgia, and that's saying something because Georgia's a fine team, possibly the best team in the country, and they're going to have Carson Beck. They're going to have most of their big dogs. So, very unfortunate. Last few weeks have been almost a nightmare, and yet they're still undefeated. So, now let's take a look at a story by Sportskeeda by Vincent Pensabene. It says 6 ACC schools are rumored to follow FSU's footsteps in suing the conference to nullify the $572 million penalty, which is absurd. There's our boy Phillips. And this is by Greg Swam. It says, tip of the iceberg. FSU obviously struck first, but remember there were 6 other schools, the Magnificent Seven, that voiced their displeasure with the ACC and told tonight to expect each of them to file similar lawsuits and possibly others as well. And if you remember the Magnificent Seven, that was Florida State, of course, Clemson, Miami, North Carolina, NC State, Virginia, and Virginia Tech. It says, as of this writing, only the FSU Seminoles have filed any legal action. And it talks about how ACC has really got to be careful because if they could cease to exist, similar to what's happened to another conference. It says, a massive reason behind the significance of this decision is the fact that its media rights deal hangs in the balance. And that's the thing that is keeping FSU from just leaving. They could pay the $120 million exit fee, but the $450-some-odd million grant of rights, you don't get that settled. So they're talking about $500 million they want, which is absurd. But the other problem is this thing goes through 2036, so they're stuck forever in this thing. Whoever cut this deal, not bright. This deal with ESPN, it's very tricky. Talks about the exit fee and then the actual cost. More than $400 million is the difference. It says with 7 teams now reportedly seeking legal action, it's going to test the conference's will to survive. Expect the ACC trying to add additional programs, which they've already added 3 teams, and they may try to add some more because they've got to stay at 15 teams or more. Otherwise, they have to renegotiate with ESPN. And ESPN, if you don't have Florida State, Clemson, and all those type of teams, they're not going to want to pay very much. So, of course, the ACC is just trying to hang on as best they can. Phillips has got his hands full. And it's really such a shame. Had they done the 12-team playoff, this would be looking very differently. The lawsuit would have come much later. It would have been much more amicable and not as vicious, but now it's on because Florida State is furious.
We got no food. We got no jobs. Our pets' heads are falling off.
They feel extremely cheated, rightfully so, and they blame the ACC for a lot of this. Not all of it, but a lot of it. They also blame them for cutting very bad deals, and they want out. So it couldn't be much worse for FSU, and I hate it for them. I really do. I feel for them. I understand how they wound up in this situation, or at least on the field I do, and how tough it is to lose your quarterback. But to go in there with a true freshman who didn't look so good last time against Georgia, I don't like that scenario at all. I could see FSU showing up at first and fighting real hard, but after a while, Georgia's probably going to overwhelm them with talent and skill. And they've got a really good quarterback, and those tight ends are going to play. It's just going to be very difficult. It just is. So anyway, if you like this content, be sure to hit that like button. Let's continue to cover the SEC. I'm covering the ACC some, and of course the Big Ten with the Michigan story and all that. Trying to stay on top of these big stories. If you've not subscribed, it's on your right, my left. All you got to do is hit this little button. It'll help you get these videos if you like keeping up with this type of information. And right over here is a video that YouTube thinks you'll enjoy based on your viewing history. And we'll see you next time on Sports Talk Jay.
Merry Christmas! General!